All right. I think we are. Oh, we're sideways on Instagram. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we had that last time as well with you and I.
Yeah. All right.
Trip.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good.
I mean, I guess to correct it, I could.
Well, you know what? That kind of feels familiar because it's not the. but,
That's sort of like Bobson, right?
I was about to say it. Let me fix this. I'm getting a double thing going on here with my sound. I was about to say, it's not the recommended way to go down a bobsled track, but 1 minute. Yeah.
I hope my sound's okay. My
I'm getting rid of these because I'm getting kind of double sound here.
Okay.
Let's see speakers. I'm just going back to my speakers. All right. I'm getting rid of these because I'm getting kind of double sound here.
Okay.
Let's. All right. You hear me clearly? Speakers.
Yeah. Now I got double sound.
My speakers. All right. I'm getting rid of these because I'm getting kind of double sound here. Okay. Let's. All right. You hear me clearly? Speakers.
Yeah. Now I got double sound.
Yeah. So it's there's a serious delay. I'm getting kind of double sound here. Let's. All right. You hear me clearly?
Maybe try to put your headphones back in. It worked better.
Yeah. So there's a serious delay. Getting kind of double sound here. All right. You hear me clearly?
Maybe try to put your headphones back in. It worked better.
Yeah. So there's a serious delay. Getting kind of double sound here. All right. You hear me clearly?
Maybe try to put your headphones back in. It worked better.
Yeah. So there's a serious delay. Getting kind of double sound here. This is crazy. You know what? Yeah, there's a serious delay. Should we try again? I'm gonna hang up and try again. You know what? Yeah. All right, let's try this again. Are you hearing me? No? Check my sound. In. Okay, that's no good. Your speaker is mute.
Oh,
you are. Ah, perfect.
Okay.
All right. All right.
We're in business.
Say something.
I said we're in business.
All right, cool. So let's hit broadcast. Oh, end broadcast. So we are live. As is.
Yeah,
So,
actually, yeah, it's theoretically probably should still be going live. It buffers it, so that's probably why we're hearing that extreme feedback. So
yeah, so I want to make sure we're in only for create the broadcast. So I'm gonna try to make sure that we get back on IG here.
cool.
I think we might be now. Let's see. Yeah, there we are. We're sideways again, man. So yeah, that's it. It does remind me of going down a bobsled track, which is not the recommended way, sideways on your head. But hey, guys, welcome to Wednesday. I'm chatting with my really good friend Edmund Lowman, and I want to encourage you during our chat. If you have questions, comments, feel free to engage us, man. We promise not to bite. But Ed is a really impressive guy. He's a CEO of Slumber Hostel Group, which is Asia's leading provider of youth travel accommodations and experience-based travel. He's, by the way, also a member of Forbes Business Council, the foremost growth and networking organization for successful business owners and leaders worldwide. The guy has done some crazy other things, ultra marathon, climb mountains, and all of that kind of stuff. We're going to get into that. But dude, it's good to catch up with you, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Just here in Thailand, hanging out. I'm thankful to be on the show with you. Glad that I've been lucky to meet Devin. Crazy, met Devin, or spoke to Devin, I guess, the first time a few years ago, actually, and then followed up with him recently, and we've formed a friendship, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah,
good man. So I'm thrilled to be on your show.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for technology, man. You're halfway around the world. What time is it there? It looks dark outside.
Yeah, it is 8:11 p.m.
All right, cool. So yeah, it's still early. I know you don't go to bed until 2 a.m., so that's all right.
No, man, I'm an early sleeper. I wake up at like 4:35 each morning because I go training. I go running because it gets hot really quickly here. So I have to get up early if I want to go train.
I got you. Hey,
and this time I'm not in the military, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know that now. Not a trained killer with a killer smile, as I thought initially. It's really weird, because you connect with so many people from around the world, virtually. And I met a guy, met online, who went to Sandhurst and who was in Thailand. And so when we were chatting, I absolutely confused the two. I noticed my really good friend Leon over there in Holland has checked in. So Leon, great to see you, man. So dude, we could kick this off in so many different ways. I'm kind of, you describe yourself as someone who likes to create things and solve problems. Where did that come from?
Man, I think it just as a kid, I've always interesting story. I don't know do you know the company Target?
Mm-hmm.
My dad was an executive at Target, and when I was I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, I was in a checkout line at Target, And the process at that time for doing, because my dad was an executive, the family got like an employee discount card. And the employee discount cards was basically just this piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it. And the lady was like trying to enter in our discount number and mess it up like 3 times in a row. And there's all these customers waiting behind us. And as a kid, I don't know why, I looked to my mom and I said, that doesn't make any sense. And she said, why? I said, there's all these customers waiting to be served, but dad works here and they're serving us first and they're holding up the whole line because of us, because they can't enter in the discount code. And she said, oh, okay, yeah. And she said, how would you fix it? And I said, I'd put a UPC. My mom, I guess, was the one who started it. She asked me, how would you fix it? And I said, I'd put a UPC code on the card. And she said, that's a really good idea. You should tell your dad. And so I told my dad, and they then implemented across the entire company nationwide in like probably was like 1995 or 1996. And this was like my first like, holy shit, you can change a whole company like that. And I'm like this young. And like, that was it. Yeah. I was like, wow, if I can do this at 8 or 10, like what can I do when I'm like 30 or 40? So I think that was it. That's what got me excited about entrepreneurship and solving problems.
The young problem solver, huh?
Yeah.
But a lot of inventions and businesses are born out of a problem that somebody sees. And but I have a really good friend, Scott Perzinski. You need to meet this guy. He's one of the most impressive guys you'll ever meet. I don't know when this guy sleeps. He's the first. Our path first crossed in Calgary. He was coaching the luge team from the Philippines. He was a U.S. Olympic luge hopeful in '88. But then this guy went on to become a NASA astronaut, flew several times out of space, and then climbed Mount Everest. He's the first human being to climb Mount Everest and fly out of space, right? And he described—
That's intense.
Yeah. And like climb down in volcanoes and
Yo, man, I can tell you, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I used to think I wanted to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And as a warm-up, I went and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And I can tell you, after climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, I definitely do not want to climb Mount Everest. Zero interest.
Right. and I'm good with the hills in my town too. So it's all good. Yeah, but Scott describes himself as a happy whiner. So he sees something that's not working and he goes and he invents creates a solution for it. Is that how you see a lot of businesses getting formed as well?
For me personally, so I mean, we have a lot of just to give everyone on here a little bit of context to people who don't know anything about me. We have a lot of different businesses, like restaurants, hostels, hotels. The company is multifaceted. There's a lot of different branches of our organization, and so I think the reason why that has happened, and the reason I tell you this is because I want to explain like how I got into all these different things was I think what I've done over the years, if I look at sort of the footprint or the cookie crumb trail of my businesses over the last 10 years, it's me creating things that I wanted to do that didn't exist in the market. So whether it was solving a problem for other people, I don't know, but solving problems for myself. So sort of what your friend Scott you're speaking of does. For me personally, a lot of it was based around hospitality and restaurants and bars in Thailand or in Asia, because I was trying to bring what I was used to from home here. And so I started solving that problem for myself and started opening, more restaurants and bars and things that I would want. And it just happened that I wasn't the only one that wanted it. A lot of people wanted these things. And so I was just really solving a problem for myself is what I did. And it's interesting. I can actually see the evolution of me as a person through the years of all the businesses we've opened.
Indeed. Yeah, the happy whiner. Hello, Anne. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. So dude, like I said, you have had this, and you just alluded to this crazy path that you've been on. So tell us, man, about we're not going to stay on it for too long, about your rock star path. I know you're in the witness protection program now, but in terms of being a rock star, but we're going to blow your cover. Just for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was really lucky. I was in a bunch of different bands. The most notable one that people would know about was called Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Really successful band in the States. I was lucky to play in it for a bit and enjoy some of that success and see what it was like to play music at that level, and with other bands prior to that. Playing, I played from the time I was 21-ish, let's say 21, 22-ish, until the time I was 26, 27. I was in what you would call a major label band, which means a band that had a record deal on a major label like Sony or Columbia or Virgin. I was in a major label band, which a lot of people hope to do that once in their life, kind of like you with the Olympics. A lot of people hope to go to the Olympics once in their life. A lot of people hope to have a record deal who are in a band once in their life. I went through like 4 record deals. So I was so fortunate to get to see like from every level of like a band that got signed and dropped and nothing happened with it, and your dreams were crushed, to a band that had a little success, to a band that had massive success. And it was beautiful. It was humbling. It taught me a lot about what I did and didn't want in life. It made me realize that kind of lifestyle and the fame of it wasn't really what got me going. It wasn't something that really got me excited. And that on the other side too, what it gave me was an introduction to the fact that I did really love being on stage and being in front of people, which is why I still do, a lot of not more the last couple of years, less the last couple of years, but I've gotten back into doing public speaking and coaching, because I found that I get a lot of energy out of it. Like I feel good when I'm like helping people, and it used to be through music. Now it's mostly through business coaching. So yeah, rockstar life was crazy. I did it all. I met lots of crazy famous people. A lot of like sports stars like Warren Sapp. I hung out with Mike Tyson. I partied with Dwayne Wade. I met, adult film stars. I met Robert Downey Jr., like all these crazy people like I met and I hung out with, and that's cool, I guess. But I guess at the end of the day, what you find out through all those people is they all wake up in the morning, they all take a poop just like you and me, and it's not anything that's special or different. They're just normal people just like you.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was fun.
It's kind of interesting because a lot of people would see you living the rock star life, so to speak, or see others, who are, famous and on stage and traveling the world, and feel like that, wow, man, if I could just live that life, that would be awesome. And you're saying, hey, I was living that life, but it wasn't all that it cracked out to be. There was more to life.
It's a lonely place, man, because you become that thing. You don't become who you are as a person anymore. You become this product of this thing that's so much bigger than you, and it's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
You don't have control of the entity that is this fame and success. It's completely out of your power, really. Not completely, but a lot out of your power.
Yeah.
And you become associated with that and only that. And that was a really painful process to pull that Band-Aid off, because walking away from that too was a whole other thing where it was like, that's who I was. That my whole identity was wrapped up in being Edmund, the rock star. But I felt that I needed to do it, and when I did it, the process, the couple of years was really hard on me. But man, once I got out of it, I was so happy. And like looking back on now, I go, yeah, man, I really made the right decision. That was the right move, because had I stayed in it, I think I probably, not intentionally, and I'm not saying this to be morbid, I think I would have killed myself with either drugs or alcohol or just going too hard, because it wasn't a healthy place for me. And I wouldn't say I was ever a drug addict or an alcoholic, but I indulged in those things back when I was in the band. And when I look back on it now, I go, man, like that was just at the beginning of it. What if that went further? What if that went 10 times that? What if could you have maintained that? No way.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy I got out of it. I'm happy that I got into the things I got into.
Yeah, it's, you reminded me of my younger days when I, was a bobsled and I was in the army, and I was either outside of Jamaica traveling around the world from one bobsled track to the next, or I'm back in Jamaica, traveling around Jamaica, doing my duties, or traveling overseas for army stuff. And there was a point when I felt like a nomad, like I lived out of a suitcase, man. And I just wanted to be like sit still for a minute. And granted, I travel, well, not today, but as a speaker, I'm traveling a lot, but it's not as glamorous as people think it is, But you also made an important point, and I think it's, hey Malia, great to see you. the whole business of identity, you know, because when we work really hard to accomplish something and we're kind of living that dream, our entire identity is wrapped up in whether it's being an athlete or a rock star, or, you know, an entrepreneur. And sometimes you get to that point where, you know, your soul kind of say, hey, this is not really the right place for you. You need to move on. But because we're so wrapped up in it, it is difficult. And you experience that. You work through it. What do you have a step or two that you could suggest to folks who might be experiencing that now?
Yeah, I mean, what I did was probably the extreme of it. So I'll tell you what I did. I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but I left the country, which is ultimately how I ended up back in Thailand. And I know there's two sides to it. One side of it felt a little bit cowardly because it kind of felt like I was running away from things, which I mean, I was. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I was.
Mm-hmm.
But in that running away from things, I discovered a whole other world that I don't think I would have discovered had I not decided to do that. And what I mean by that is, especially as Americans, and it's changed. It's changed a bit over the last few years, but historically, as Americans, we're not world travelers. We like to get locked into the country. We stay there, and our whole knowledge of the world is very tied up in America, not in
Mm-hmm.
actual world issues, world politics, world you know the ecosystem of the world, and how we all impact each other. So I left. I went to Europe and was what was meant to be a 1 month vacation, or maybe a 1.5 month vacation. And I thought I'll go. I'll get my head straight. I'll travel around. I'll see something new. And I went there and I did see something new and I loved it. And I realized there was people that didn't see the world the way I saw the world. There were people who had different problems than the problems I had. There were people who looked at me and thought I was so lucky. And there's, you know, people I looked at that I thought were so lucky because of, you know, simple things like you're from Ireland. That's fucking cool. Like you're living in this beautiful, you know, city that looks like a palace, basically, the whole city. And I've never seen something like that before from America. And then it bit me. The travel bug bit me, or the exploring bug bit me. And so then I was just like, man, I've got the means. I'm just going to travel for a few years. And that's what I did. And that wasn't the plan, but that's what I did. And man, I went all over the world and I saw a lot and I've been so many places. And it just made me realize, not to say that I didn't want to go back to the States, but I just realized that there was a lot to see out there. And one thing led to another. I ended up in China actually initially. And I started a business there. We were able to exit that business. It was where I made a good amount of money from that. And I was actually planning this. We exited this probably around 2012, 14-ish area. I think when we actually we signed the deal in 2012. There was like a 2 year. I had to stay on as a consultant for like 2 years to get my earn out, whatever. 2014, I was finally done with the deal. And actually, I was in Thailand at the time and I'd started a small business, this hostel brand. And my plan was always to go back to America. I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to America. You know, I'm done with, you know, traveling. I've been traveling now for basically 8 years. I'm going to go back to America. And then I started this little business here that was just supposed to be something fun to carry over my last 6 months of my duties in China. And then the business blew up. So to circle all back, I left the country. That's what worked for me. I don't think most people need to go that extreme, but I think when you're tied up in the ego of something is maybe looking at the friends around you. Who is your circle? Are they supporting you? Are they bringing you up? Are they building you up and helping you get away from what you're trying to do? Are they supporting what you want to do? With being a rock star, your circle identifies with you. They want to be near you because of who you are a lot of times. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's like that, but I know a lot of, and I still have a lot of friends that are celebrities. And I look at it very differently now because I don't care about their celebrity. And actually, in fact, I dislike it. And in fact, if I'm going to hang out with them, I prefer to go hang out with them at their house. And I don't want to be seen in public with them because it's not about that for me.
Right.
And I think finding those people who like you for who you are and not because of what you've done, that's the key is the people that love you don't care about what you've done. That's why you see mothers whose sons are on death row and they go, I love him, because she doesn't care about what the guy's done. She cares that she loves the guy. And
Yeah,
that's, I think you got to find friends like that.
indeed. Yeah, my friend Melissa Harrison, a Canadian Olympian, she wrote a book, and I can't remember the title exactly. I think it's really, after you have achieved your reached peak performance, what's your personal next? And I think part of the challenge for many of us is, yeah, we achieve success and have our identity all wrapped up in this one thing. But if you're going to embrace a keep on pushing philosophy, as I like to advocate, where do you go from? Where do you go from there? As opposed to going, wow, this is it for me. Life is beautiful and there's nothing more that I can do, right? You have to always be looking to see how you can grow and how you can, I think, impact the world. I think part of the challenge with many of us, you've achieved some success and, I'm okay, Jack, as opposed to what can I now use this success that I've achieved? How can I use it to make somebody else's life better, more impactful?
And viewing it as the beginning, not the end. So what you said actually made me, if I had to articulate all the, I know my response was kind of disconjointed and long-winded, but that's actually the crux of it is your success isn't who you are. It's something you've done. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then B is, it's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the doorway to do something else. It might not feel like it at the time, but oftentimes things aren't as important as they seem at that moment. And then you look back on it and realize that that moment was actually the moment that changed everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I couldn't have put that any better. And your success becomes a doorway to the next thing. That actually is perhaps even more important than the original or initial achievement, because the next thing is not just about you. It's not just about Devon or Ed. It's about, John and Mary, and how you're going to inspire them and help them, even if you're not in touch with them directly, but them just knowing of you and knowing your story, going, you know what, if that doofus can do it, I can do it too. I mean,
True story.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think, such a great way to touch lives, because I have seen people where, like, wow, you know what, if he or she did so and so in their field, what's stopping me from doing what it is that I want to do in my little area over here? And I think that's important. So you end up in Thailand, and you started a little business that was supposed to last 6 months or so. And how long has that been?
8 years. I started the business because I thought I had 6 months. I was a single guy, so I decided to open a bar. I was like, I have the best 6 months of my life. I'm going to open a bar, a single guy in Thailand. I'm going to have a blast. That's what I'm going to do. And that was in 2012. So
yeah. I hope you're still having a blast.
I'm still having a blast.
Yeah, I know you're married. You have a beautiful young daughter now, and business is going great. So talk to us. What kind of challenges you faced, starting that business in the first place, and then scaling it?
So I mean, there's some Thailand specific stuff that I think, like, starting a business in another country is a challenge always. You don't speak the language, or maybe you do speak the language if you're lucky. There's cultural differences. There's legal differences. There's infrastructure differences. There's even, things like, corruption. Not saying that I'm not saying that was the key issue in Thailand per se, but there is that in a lot of third world countries, and you see it. I mean, you see it in America at a different level. In a lot of Asian countries, you see it at a very basic level, where you as a individual get impacted by the corruption directly, whereas in America, you see it at a corporate level.
Right.
I think that for a lot of people probably initially is like a kind of shock in the face, because most foreigners come here, they're not used to seeing that, or at least most Americans and probably Western Europeans probably would not be used to that as much. So that was one. But in general, starting a business, I think the hardest thing with just starting a business is people in their minds have this dream, like, and they compare themselves unrealistically to really successful people. Like they look at Elon Musk and they go, well, I could never do that. Elon Musk owns a rocket company, a car company, a solar company, blah, 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 all these things. And I would be like, well, how about you just go sell one solar panel? Because if you can sell one solar panel, because that's what Elon Musk did, likely, right? Elon Musk didn't go, I'm going to start a rocket company, a car company, and a space company, and all these things all at once. That's not what he did. What Elon Musk did is probably he read a book or he said, I think I can do this. I'm going to go sell one, see if I can. And I think that's the key is like, whatever your thing is, break it down to this, whatever your grand idea is, that's great. You have a grand idea. A lot of people have grand ideas, but at the end of the day, execution is what matters. Like a grand idea of going to the Olympics as a Jamaican bobsledder. That's great. That's a fantastic idea. Explain to me how. What's the first step? Well, I got to get a bobsledder. I got to learn how to run, or I got to do this. And instead of I want to win a gold medal, that's a great goal, but let's get a bobsled in the Olympics first. That's step one.
Yeah.
And I think it's that first step, breaking down the big goal into a simple thing. I want to make $10,000 next month. Okay, great, fantastic. So you need to make $2,500 a week. Okay, you need to make like $50 an hour for, I don't know, 10 hours of work a day. Okay. Now, if I say I need to make $50 an hour for 10 hours of work a day, that seems like a pretty reasonable goal for a lot of people. That doesn't sound crazy. But if you say to someone, I want you to make 10 grand next month, they go, oh, like, whoa, that's a lot of money. So break it down to the simplest form. And whatever that simplest form is, go accomplish that first, because that's goal number one. Can I make $50 today? Then can I make $50 twice in a day? Then can I make it, every hour, and then build on it that way?
No, that's true. It's obviously a start with this big, audacious, crazy goal. But right, Sue. Good morning. Great to see you.
Hi, Sue.
But you can't get there in one massive bound, man. This ain't no Superman thing that we're talking about. It really requires, as you say, breaking it down. And thank you for using the bobsled analogy, because it's true. So you're from Jamaica and you want to go to the Olympics, and you have 4 months and you've never seen a bobsled before.
So good. Love it.
Like, how do you get there? Well,
fuck it, we're gonna do it. We got it.
Yeah. One tiny step at a time. Like Lombardi was reputed at the start of every football season, he would gather his team and he holds up a football and say, gentlemen, this is a football, right? These are guys who've been playing since they were 6 or 7 and they're now pros. Yeah. This is a football. You break it down to the most minute piece, and then you start there and you build on that. And it's true for any goal. We're talking about business here. You're a business guy, but it's true for any goal everything that you may have. Absolutely.
And also, I think sorry, just to add one more point to this too is, and I think it's harder today than it's ever been, because people have unrealistic. Because thank God for people like you on Instagram, and thank God for people like
like you.
Maybe like me, like Gary Vaynerchuk, people who aren't purporting, or sorry, not purporting, but not promoting this crazy lifestyle of like, oh, you have to fly in private jets and look at me and I've got, I'm drinking champagne every day and because that makes people compare themselves to something that's not reality, and they're only seeing the highlight. It is reality, but it's reality after 30 years of work. And the problem with social media is it actually demoralizes and demotivates people, because they think, this guy was handed the lottery ticket, he got lucky, I'll never do that. And what they don't see, they only see the highlight reel. They're only seeing all the good shit that happened. They're not seeing, like you and I talked about you. They're not seeing how Devin Harris was on the ice track and told that, sorry, Devin, you're not going to run because this guy's decided he wants to run. He felt good about the run he had with the other guy. No one saw that, right? Not many people probably even know about that.
True that.
And that's the core of it, is like having those challenges and saying, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to overcome that challenge and I'm going to do something even bigger. You know what? I don't care. I'm going to go way harder now. Now I'm going to go even bigger. That challenge, that thing should be the fuel to your fire.
Yeah. You started out that, saying that it's more difficult today than it used to be. And at first I'm like, oh, how? And then I totally get it. I call it and the microwave society. And I realize that, ladies and gentlemen, we live in 2020 where microwaves are old technology, but that's the term I use for it, where people want success and they want it now because you can see it. You see
Yes.
examples of it, I should say, in social media. Um,
And
and
people are selling it to people. That's the worst part. There's crazy people online saying, I can make you a millionaire tomorrow. And it's not reality. And it's so
yeah,
sad to watch people get sucked into it.
absolutely. There's no such thing as an overnight success, is a point. In fact, I read somewhere where they say if you want to become an overnight success, you needed to start 10 years ago because that's how long it takes to become an overnight success. And you see the the person, the guy or the gal who is legitimately successful, let's say like blowing up, and you go, whoa, where did he or she come from? Well, they were in the dark, man, working their butt off. And then one day, all of that kind of accumulated, and people go, "Wow, he or she is an overnight success." No, and so yeah, I think those who are selling the the leopard skin or whatever it is, snake skin oil,
snake oil. Snake oil.
Right?
I think you can buy a leopard skin.
Make a millionaire tomorrow is doing a disservice to people because they see you enjoying the success and think that they can achieve the same success tomorrow. They can achieve the same success, but it's going to take a little bit longer than tomorrow.
Yeah, it's actually tomorrow for you or for anyone else who's interested. I'm actually interviewing as well a buddy of mine who's a very successful country singer, one of the top selling country singers on the planet. His name is Brett Young, and Brett Young and I wrote songs together back when I just left my band in 2005 or 2006. And he and I wrote some songs together. Nothing ever came of the songs we wrote together, but we wrote songs. And I thought he was a good singer. I thought he was a good guitar player. And then I went my way. He went his way. We didn't talk to each other for years. And I'm talking years, like almost 10 years or 12 years. And then 12 years in, he got a record deal and put out his album and became the top selling country music artist. This guy, from that time I met him, and also an older guy. He's my age. He's 39, which is super old in the music industry. You're done at 39. He didn't give it. He didn't care. He just kept going and kept going for 12 years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, for 12 years. He played in bars. He did all the crappy cover gigs, and he ate dirt for 12 years and ate crap for 12 years. And now he's presumably, I don't know his financial status, but I'm going to say he's multi-millionaire.
He's a quote unquote overnight success. You're right.
Exactly. I mean, he's living it now, and he's getting to do all the stuff that he ever wanted to do because of 12 years of eating crap, and that's what it takes. Sometimes you have to eat dirt for 12 years to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, man, it doesn't happen overnight. Completely. So you talk about success, and you look at a guy like Brett. You look at you, and I know that you have enjoyed tremendous success, but you have had. I'm guessing. Let me not assume. I'm guessing that you have had some failures as well. Is that true?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, you
absolutely. I'm going. Yeah, Well, I mean, I'll tell you. I can tell you specific business failures of like businesses that didn't work, but I can even say, right this moment, right now, today, just before you, the last couple of days, I've been dealing with a lawsuit that I've been dealing with for 3 years. That's over a bad decision and not doing some things properly, and be honest, taking shortcuts. And it's been a mess for 3 years of my life now, and it's been stressful for 3 years on and off. And thankfully, it's coming to an end now, and I'm happy to say that it is. And I think everyone on both sides are going to walk away happy, and that's great. But man, it was a painful 3 years of getting punched in the head constantly on both sides. I'm not saying like, oh, like poor me. Both sides. I think everyone learned, like, man, we went to battle for 3 years, and I would say in the last 3 years of my life, that was my biggest failure. Was like I at a certain moment let my ego and my pride and my emotions get the best of me, and just went off the rails and went, after this thing. And if I could take it all back, I would have stopped long ago. So that was a massive failure, I would say. And as far as a recent one,
Right.
and then as far as like business failures of like specific things that didn't work, like I think what happens, and I don't know how relatable this is to everyone on the call, but I guess I'll just say for me, because it's where I'm at in life, is I think sometimes when you achieve a certain level of success, you get this maybe like Midas complex, where you think everything you're going to touch is going to turn to gold because you've been lucky. Not lucky, wasn't luck, but because you worked hard at this one thing and that went well, and you're good at that, you think now everything I touch is going to turn to gold. And I think in the last few years, probably the biggest mistakes I've made is being overly confident and investing in things I didn't know enough about. And luckily I've never lost like my proverbial butt or ass, but made made some mistakes. So I think that would be another one. And then going back further, like starting businesses. I'm trying to touch each level so I can give something to everyone. I would say other failures I had were like, oh man, like around the time that I started my bar, I did a restaurant with a friend, and that fell apart because it just didn't work. And we hadn't, I think we kind of both had our time split and we weren't 100% focused. And I think the things you learn from the failure is only a failure if you don't walk away from it having learned something, is what I would say. Like, it's not really a failure. It's a lesson. And some lessons are more expensive than others, but that means the lesson was probably more valuable as well.
Yeah, that's Henrik. Thanks for joining us, man. And you joined us at a really good point too, because people, all of us are going to fail. It's really just part of the success journey. And by failure, I mean we're not going to hit that mark that we really wanted to hit. The challenge is that so many of us, when that happens, see ourselves as failure, like we internalize it. I'm no good. As opposed to go, you know what? That's just a result that I got. And to your point, what's the lesson? What lesson can I learn from this? And so the idea is to kind of look at the result and go, these are the adjustments I need to make to go again. Like, as a Bob said, driver, man, every now and again you'll crash, right? It just happens. And first of all, it's like, I look at this and like, how dare you crash? It's my fault, well, obviously, because that sled is not going to crash itself. But it's really about, okay, look, we're going back to the top and we're going to do this again, kind of thing. But each run, whether you crash or not, is a learning experience. And you in fact, and you hear people say it all the time, so really successful people, they learn more from their quote unquote failures than they do from their successes.
1,000%. So those failures are what make you, like, having made. I think about the way I talk and the things people would ask me today, and versus 8 years ago, what my answer would be, and I just personally, I guess I can remember the person I was at. Not that. How am I trying to say this? I can remember what level I was at 8 years ago versus where, or even a year ago, let's say 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when my company got acquired and merged into this other massive company 2 years ago, man, I went from, like, I felt like playing like little league baseball to like playing in the major leagues overnight. And the answers I would give to questions today versus even like 2.5 years ago have changed so much. And it's because of all those failures that I made up to there, and all the mistakes I made when it first happened, and the lawsuit I was just talking about. Those things all start to teach you. It's like a boxer getting hit in the face. You only get punched in the face a few times, and like then you start to duck and weave and you get
Yeah,
out of the way
exactly.
of the punches.
That's true. I'm kind of curious, just based on what you said. Talk to us about this idea. Well, first of all, the growth, because you're talking about the difference between Ed a year ago, 2 years ago, 8 years ago, compared to today. A lot of people don't embrace this idea of personal growth, and recognize that the only way you can continue to contribute to your life and to the lives of others is by growing, right? And then the whole business of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone as well, because here it is that you were running a successful company and you got merged into a bigger company that you now are the CEO for. So talk us through that.
Well, yeah, first, personal growth is I'm lucky from my grandmother that I came from a family that always really believed in helping others and being humble about your means. I was never, I was taken care of, and I grew up in a great family, and I was very lucky. We didn't want for money. We had money, but on the flip side, I was taught the value of that dollar very aggressively by my grandparents and by my parents, in the fact of, you're not given anything. Nothing that anyone has means it's your free ticket. You're going to work your ass off and you're going to go do your own thing. Don't expect a handout because it's not coming. And I feel really, really fortunate that I was brought up that way. And the other thing I feel fortunate of is that I came from a family that believed a lot in charity and doing things for other people. And that was really instilled in me as a young kid, is like, you need to help others. When you have the ability to help others, you need to be helping others. And if you're not,
I don't have an answer for that.
Sorry, that was my phone.
Something else I can?
And if you're not helping others, then you're not doing your part to contribute to the world and to society. And that's always really stuck with me, is like, help others, help others, help others. And through helping others, one, there's a lot of personal satisfaction, but two, there's a lot of growth that comes along with that, because you learn about a lot of people from different places. And the more you learn about people from different places, and the more you travel and the more you see different things, it broadens your horizon. Like, I go back to America now, and I speak to friends that I have trouble sometimes understanding their perspective, because my perspective is way broader now. It's not to say that I'm more intelligent. I'm just have experienced more than they have, and it changes the way I see things, because they not everyone, but a lot of them see it very domestically. And I think I see things more globally because of having traveled a lot. And I think that helps with growth. Now, how do you accomplish this growth? I always was pushing to try to learn more and do more, and whether it was physically or mentally. And I would say in the last year or two, I've actually just been investing a lot. I mean, a lot of money in my personal growth. And that's from everything to, like, I went and bought a really nice mattress because I wanted to sleep better, and I wanted to sleep better so that I could pack more hours of great sleep in, because if I had more hours of great sleep, I could learn more and leverage my time during the day better, rather than waking up and feeling bad. I went and bought a great espresso machine for my house, so I didn't have to go out and get coffee. So then all these things, they sound like optimization things, but actually they became learning and growth things, because then I went and learned, and I took an espresso class on how to make a great espresso at my house. And then because I went through this lawsuit, I went the last 2 years and I've been taking legal courses at Harvard online. I've been taking over and over different classes because I wanted to learn. I realized I didn't know much about, or I didn't know as much as I would have liked to know about law and how different things impact the way contract law works. So I think it's almost like I think you said like I forget what you said. Your friend Scott said the happy complainer.
Oh, yeah, the happy whiner.
the happy whiner.
Yeah.
I think I'm also the happy whiner for myself internally, and that when I realize that I don't know something, I want to go and learn it, or I want to go and try it. And likewise with sports, like the big thing I do is ultra marathons. That's running 60 or 100 miles, which seems unfathomable, and it probably is, and probably not the wisest thing to do for your body, but I do it because I like it. And it's because it forces you to grow, and it forces you to challenge your mind. Like, doing a sprint is hard, and it's really hard because you're going all out. Doing an ultra marathon is crazy hard because you're not fighting against your body anymore. You're fighting against your mind, and it's a whole different ball game. And I think that stuff is what makes you grow. I don't know if I don't know if I gave anything actionable in there, but I hope that answered your question.
Well, that answers it. That's in terms of the personal growth and the importance of it. But help us to understand now how you manage, the change and the transition, getting from, say, running your own company, which is at one level, to now running a much bigger company, and how you manage a change.
Yeah, man, it was painful. I remember coming home, and I talk about this often to people because I think it's one of those moments where it's like change, and I guess a lot of the catchword is leveling up. When you level up a little bit, I guess maybe it's painful and it hurts. When you level up to the degree that I did, it is not painful. It is like excruciating, disastrous chaos. And I mean, I went from literally running a $4.5 million a year business to running a $50 million a year business, like overnight, like literally 10 times what I was doing overnight. Like, contract assigned, you start tomorrow. And I remember after the first maybe like 30 days of coming home from the office and just being paralyzed, and coming and saying to my wife, like, I think I've made a really big mistake. I have no idea what I'm doing. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And being like shaking about it. Like, I can't do this. They've made a mistake, and I don't know what to do. And I've made a mistake, and I don't know what to do now. Like, this is chaos, and being like really stressed, not sleeping at night. I mean, like, horrible. And then one morning, I woke up and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said to me, he's like, you just need to take it the same way you run an ultra marathon. You just need to go one step at a time. He said, pick the one thing you're going to get done today and get that done. And pick the next thing you're going to get done and get that done. He's like, you're trying to fix everything at once, and it's impossible. And you're thinking that you need to, and you don't. You need to pick the next thing, and you do that. And then once you do that, do the next thing. And when you do that, do the next thing. And in 6 months, you'll look back and you'll be shocked at how far you've come. And that's what I did. And here we are, 2.5 years later. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I haven't died yet.
How are you talking about change and adapting? How are you dealing with this crazy COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, man. I've done I've tried a lot of stuff since it's happened. So because, we're at our core a hospitality business, and we have restaurants, hotels, bars, all these things that I told you. So I mean, we're gravely impacted by this. I mean, disastrously impacted by this.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of opportunity there, and I think it depends on how you frame it. I think at first we, as a company, and a lot of us, were looking at it as disaster, and then once we calmed ourselves and got our heads out of the sand, we looked up and saw that everyone else had their head in the sand, and that actually, because everyone else had their head in the sand, there's happy days and hunting to be done all around, because everyone else just kept their heads in the sand. And that meant there was a lot of buying opportunity, and that meant there was a lot of marketing opportunity, and that there was all these things that we were able, or we had the ability to go after and try to attack and leverage as new business opportunities that we hadn't before. So I guess how am I dealing with it is trying to not be a seller and try to be a buyer, because right now is not the time in a lot of cases to sell, because it's a down market. Things are falling apart. And what I've been trying to do is look at all these people that are selling and buy everything that I can that makes sense, because the world will come back. It might come back differently, might look differently, might be this or that, but The world's not going away forever. It's not the end of the world. It's not the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Three-headed horsemen aren't coming down from the sky to open up the planet in half. It sucks. But I'm sure you've been through stuff, but I went through September. First I went through September 11th. I remember what that was like. I remember the airline industry being devastated. I went through the 2008 financial crisis. I remember what that felt like. And now we're going through this. Now, this is on a completely different scale, but it's resilience, man. It's the same as you said before, it's failure. It's failure on a global scale. But we as a people, we will get over it. We will come out of it stronger. We'll change things. We'll optimize. We'll get better, and we'll move on. And I think we've all learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah. You said, I think you used the word breathe. Certainly that's a word that came to mind when you just started this answer here. And I think it's so important, whether it's this, COVID-19 crisis or any other crisis, for us to take a moment, man, and just breathe. It's kind of like, I always use the analogy of a boxer. A boxer is in the ring and he gets hit hard. He breathes, man. He takes a moment, he hops around the ring to try to get away from his opponent and just catch his breath so he can figure out what the next step is and what punches he's going to throw next. And I think it applies to all of us in the boxing ring of life when we're hit with crisis. Everybody, most people are holding their head down. And if you just kind of take a moment and, breathe and look around, you start seeing
100%.
opportunities, and the word he uses, the ones that make sense. So it's not about going crazy and go, oh my God, let me go get this. It's like, hey, what makes sense? So after you breathe and you come up with a plan, and then you execute that plan as best as you can, right? And that's how one way in which you pivot during crisis.
Yeah, I think that's everything you just said is right. It's like exactly that. When you are a boxer and you get punched, you said first you try to step away, you try to get space, and you try to breathe, right? So that is everything right there. Actually, boxing is probably the best analogy for being present. Taking a deep breath, planning, and getting space, because that's actually all what it's about. Is like, remember. I mean, and you said breathe, but the other thing too is the flip side of what I said. I said earlier that sometimes you don't realize how important things are when they're happening. The other side is oftentimes, more often than not, things seem a lot more dramatic and crazy and important than they actually are at the moment that they're happening. And I would say more times than not, you think it's chaos and I lost my job. This is the worst thing on the planet. The world's ending. And then you look back 10 years and you go, oh, I guess that wasn't that bad. So I think it's to remember that too. Is like anything that you're facing at the moment is temporary. You will pass it and it might suck, but life will move on.
Yeah, this too shall pass. Bro, I know you're doing some coaching now. So talk to us about that, how you're helping people.
Coaching, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, I do it on a fairly small scale. So I don't know how many people are watching here, but if lots of people hit me up, the answer in most cases will likely be no. So don't be offended if I say no to you, because I only take on about 5 people at a time, and I am full at the moment. So don't be offended if I tell you I don't have space. But there are opportunities coming up in the future. But what I do is I help people as far as coaching, take their business, whether it's starting out or they're trying to scale it, and I help them basically and walk them through the chaos that I went through, as I told you 2.5 years ago, when I took over this business from like this $4.5 million business to this $50 million a year business overnight, and all of the mistakes that I made in that process, and how to break that down and to not be overcome and paralyzed by either rapid growth or the flip side of being stagnant and not taking the opportunities. So it works for people who are just starting their businesses. It works for people that are scaling their businesses. I kind of work with a little bit of everything. I enjoy the most working with like small to medium-sized enterprises or people just starting, because I feel like it's where I can have the most impact quickly. Yeah. Whereas like really bigger organizations, a lot of times it's a a small rudder trying to steer a very big ship, and you can move it a little bit left or a little bit right, but you can't really change the course so much. Whereas like smaller businesses and people just starting, you can really impact their business dramatically quickly. And that's the type of stuff that gets me the most excited.
Indeed. So I know you are only you're full right now. You're taking a limited number of people, but how do people reach out and find you anyway?
You can message me on Instagram, and even though I am at the moment busy, feel free to write me, say hello, ask for advice. I'm very active on Instagram, so even though I might not be able to take you on as a client right now, I'm always happy to give advice. Check out my YouTube. Anytime I can help and I have the time to help, I'm happy to help. I love helping.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Dude, it's always great to catch up, man, and I'm looking forward to the next time we do so. Thanks to everyone who chimed in, and thank you to those who will chime in after the live broadcast. It's always great to catch up. Hey, Ed, thanks, man.
Devin, thank you so much, brother. It's been a pleasure.
It's all good.